key.
Yeah.
If we stop and think, would I like to be talked like this?
Yeah.
And what would Jesus do?
Do I like to be talked like this? Do I like to be insulted? Do I like people to be rude to me? And if you don't like it, then that's the key not to do it to someone else.
That's
Amen.
right.
That's right.
Right.
Amen? But we forget that, don't we?
Yes,
Yep.
we do.
Especially you.
No, I don't. I love calling your name.
Amen. You know, love one another. If we can love God, then we can love one another.
Amen.
Yes.
You know, I think the Word of God says that how can you love God? How can you say you love God and not love your fellow man who you see? How can you say you love God whom you don't see, and yet you don't love your fellow man whom you see? I mean, I understand sometimes people are rude. Sometimes people will offend you and people will cause you to be tempted not to love them. But the command of God is to love. It's not a suggestion.
Yep.
Nowhere in the Bible does it say there's 10 suggestions. A lot of times we think, especially when they're mean.
Commandment.
Jesus said to love your enemies,
Right. Yes, he did.
Commandment.
Yes, he did.
to pray for them that persecute you,
Yeah.
despisively use you.
Yes.
It's not, folks, it's a choice. I mean, I've had people say, well, I can't forgive him, Brother Tim. I say, yeah, you can, you won't.
Right. Amen.
I had a sister tell me that all the time. I can't do it, Brother Tim. I said, yeah, you can. I said, you can, you just refuse to. See, because forgiveness and love is not an emotion. You know, we've been taught that love is an emotion, but love is not an emotion. Love is a choice.
Yes.
You can feel the emotion of hate in your heart and still show love to someone.
Yes.
Boy, I'm getting some blank stares out there. Are you listening to me?
Yep.
You can have an emotion of unforgiveness or an emotion of hate and still choose to do loving things to people. Now, if people that don't know Christ can do that, how much more can you and I do that? To show the love of God. To be kind one to another. I mean, these are scriptures, folks. Don't look at me like I'm making this stuff up. There's a seat over here. There's be kind one to another. That's the Word of God. It doesn't take a whole lot just to be kind. To be nice to someone. To be polite. To say thank you.
Amen.
I mean, I know people, man, you give them a blessing, you bless them, and they won't even say thanks. Amen? Be kind. Be nice. I'll never forget my son one day. He was, he had like 3 chores. One of them was to unload the dishwasher. And he just piled everything up under the sink, and when you opened it up, it was falling out. So I made him get in and put it back. He was about 14, 15 years old. And he's sitting there complaining, why do I have to do all this over and over? I said, because if you do it right the first time, you won't have to do it the second time.
Yep.
So he's sitting there complaining, and my granddaughter, who's 18 now, she'll be 19, she was 2 years old. She walked up to him. She was just tall enough to look him straight in the face where he's sitting on the floor. She looked at him and she said, stop being mean. Like out of the mouth of babes. Stop being mean. I mean, it's a choice, folks.
Yes.
It's a choice.
It is.
Amen? So please. In the morning.
You gotta let me live just to torture you.
Read what you said.
Yes, Lord.
In the morning, when I rise. In the morning, when I rise. In the morning, when I Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have this whole wide world, but give me Jesus. When I am alone, oh, when I am alone, when I am alone, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world, but give me Jesus. And when I come to die, oh, when I come to die, when I come to die, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have everything this world has to offer, but give me Jesus. You can have all the fame and fortune. You can have everything this world has, but just give me Jesus. Amen. Give me Jesus. Amen. When all else is felt, He'll never fail you. Amen. Amen. He said, I'll go with you even until the end of this world. Amen. When there's your loved ones can't go any farther, He'll be there. Amen. I've heard stories of people on their deathbed be semi-conscious and some unconscious, and suddenly they lift their head up and look at the foot of the bed and see something that causes them to smile and peace to fill their life. And then they leave this world. It's been speculated that it's probably Jesus standing at the foot of the bed. Amen. At the very least, an angel. Amen. He'll go with you all the way to the end.
Yes, He will.
So when I come to die, amen, give me Jesus. Amen. No one else can be there with me. They can hold my hand all the way up to the last breath, but He's going to take me on. And He'll be with me. Amen. And I believe if everyone would just stop and think about their life, you can see that God was moving in your life from even a child. As a little boy, as a little girl.
Yes.
You can see where God was moving. Amen. I can still remember, and it has to be God because I was only 4 years old, but I can remember walking through the alley by West 6th, and my mother holding my hand, and we could hear the tambourines and the piano playing in the old building down on West 6th Street. And my mother looked down at me and said, "Do you want to go in there?" And I looked up and said, "Yeah." Now I'm sure God had been moving in my life long before that, because He said He knew me when I was in the womb of my mother. Amen. He knew you all before you were even born. He knew about you before the foundations of the world was established. Amen.